the Plumbing Marketing Profits Podcast. Interviews with $1 million plus plumbing and HVAC business owners on how they market and grow their companies in today's economy. Hear directly from the most successful leaders in your business and discover what they are doing to keep their phone ringing, trucks running, and businesses booming. With your host, Josh Nelson.
Well, hey everybody, this is Josh Nelson with Plumbing and HVAC SEO, and I really want to welcome you to today's podcast, the Plumbing and HVAC Marketing Podcast. I am super excited today because I'm interviewing a client and really highly successful plumbing and HVAC business entrepreneur, Chad Peterman. And so, Chad, thanks so much for joining me today.
Yeah, no problem, Josh. Thanks for having me. Glad to be on and hopefully provide some value for those listening and watching.
I'm sure you will. And just kind of working with you and kind of seeing what you do well outside of what we bring to the table, I can tell you guys have a really creative, aggressive marketing approach. Obviously, you've grown significantly over the last couple of years, so I'm sure there's going to be great insight. So put your learning caps on, get a pen and paper out, because it's going to be a great interview. So before we dive in too deep, Chad, just tell us a little bit about your background and kind of high level from the business perspective, approximate, how much revenue, how many trucks, that kind of fun stuff.
Certainly. So we've been in business since '86. My dad started the company out of his garage, and myself and my brother run the company now. My dad's somewhat semi-retired. He deals more, so we have a small commercial arm that deals mostly with multifamily projects, rehab, and things of that nature. On the residential side, as a company, we're right around 75 employees.
Wow.
And continuing to grow. We've got about 40 trucks out on the road. We did a little over 10 million last year. We're on pace this year through the first quarter, and now pretty much almost through April, on pace to hit around 14 or 15 million.
Holy moly.
We've got our main location is on the south side of Indianapolis. We also have a satellite location in Columbus, Indiana, which is about an hour or 45 minutes south of Indianapolis. And then we're about 2 weeks away from launching a third location in Lafayette, Indiana, where Purdue University is. It's about an hour and 15 minutes from our location here in Indianapolis. So, definitely over the past 2 to 3 years, we've really grown significantly and added people and just continuing to try to get better each and every day to hopefully serve as many customers as we can.
That's phenomenal. I was actually looking at my notes, and for some reason I had written down $6 million annual revenue, like 30 trucks. So you've grown a lot since that initial note was taken in our system anyways.
Yeah. I think the initial note when I reached out to you guys was probably around 2016. Mm-hmm. 2016 we did right around 7 million. We did 10 last year, and then like I said, we're on pace for 14 or 15 this year through the first quarter. We can hold that up. So obviously it's early on, but still trying to push hard for sure.
That's phenomenal. I'm excited to unpack that, kind of how you guys made that happen. Just tell us a little bit about the service mix. I know that HVAC kind of leads the name, but your full service, tell us about that.
Yeah, so full service, we've been doing heating since '86. So Dad started with heating. That's primarily where his background was. We added plumbing right about 6 or 7 years ago. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of the plumbing side of things. And then we added kind of our excavation side probably about a year and a half ago. Really got serious about it about a year and a half ago. So as far as our mix goes, we're about probably 50 to 60% HVAC, and then the other probably 30% is plumbing, and then we've got that 20% or so, 10 to 20% that's that commercial side that we do.
Awesome, great mix. And so, I know that you and your brother now are running it day to day. Your dad's obviously been involved, but kind of tell me how you got into the business. Is it a second generation, third generation?
Yeah. So it's a second generation business.
Okay.
My brother and I kind of took two different paths into the business. Obviously, as kids growing up, we were always in and around, cleaning the shop or whatever that may be. And so after college, I actually really kind of upon the advice of some friends and family, took a job elsewhere. So I actually moved out of state, moved down to North Carolina, took a job down there, totally out of the industry, had nothing to do with the trades or heating or plumbing or anything like that. Worked down there for almost exactly 2 years, and then decided it was time to come back. So came back, got started really just doing a little bit of everything, which was really good. You kind of learn all aspects of it from inside out. Have never really been a technician type, but there again, I've learned from some of our guys, the ins and outs. So I know enough to be dangerous. We'll just put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to field stuff, my brother was a little bit different story. He kind of knew that this is what he wanted to do from when he was young. So he went to college, and then right out of college started working here, and has worked here ever since.
Very, very cool. And so, what's your main focus in the business? Like, what's your main thing you focus on versus what he focuses on?
Yeah, so it actually works out really nice. Obviously, I've heard my fair share of horror stories when it comes to family business and different stuff like that. We're very, very fortunate in the fact that my interests and my brother's interests are very different. My interests lie more so on the business side of things and the marketing and growing the business. And not that he's not focused on that, but he's more on the operations side. So he runs pretty much our entire HVAC install department, our sewer and excavation department, all of that stuff when it comes to operations and putting in and coordinating big jobs. That's his baby. That's what he loves to do. So it works out nice. We've got kind of a nice split when it comes to roles.
Yeah, it really sounds like almost like the perfect synergy, right? You're
Yeah.
focused on the sales business development. He's focused on operational excellence. And when that happens, it's just a beautiful marriage of skills, and you're not like fighting each other for some of the same responsibilities.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it definitely works out. Creates a lot less, infighting. And if there's something that's in his realm, I just and I find myself kind of creeping in to give advice. I just back out and say, "You got it. I trust you. Just we'll figure it out."
So, just out of curiosity, the 2 years out of college where you went and took a job, what kind of job was that? I'm sure people are curious.
Yeah, so it was a job. So I worked for a company based out of Pennsylvania. We manufactured adhesive.
Okay.
And so I was kind of an account manager I covered the entire Southeast, really, from North Carolina down to Florida and Florida to Texas. So
Okay.
it was on an airplane every Monday, home every Friday.
Ouch.
So as you can imagine, that gets a little bit old after a while.
Oh, yeah.
But when you're young, that's pretty fun. I had a lot of friends that somehow, luckily for me, moved down that direction. So it was always nice on a weekend. You could see friends that you may not see all the time, and it was a good experience of kind of learning on your own and out there by yourself.
Yeah, because so many of these businesses do come, second generation, third generation, and there's always that challenge for the next generation coming up. It's good to hear your perspective and that you did it. Do you feel like that was something you'd recommend? Maybe spend a couple of years working in another company just so you get a feel for what the real world is like before you hop full time into the family business?
Yeah, and there again, everybody's journey is a little bit different. My brother's made it work out just fine, and he came straight into it. I think for me and where my interests lie as far as growing the business and the marketing side, Dad was always, key on growing the business, but the marketing and stuff like that, that didn't interest him a ton. So it was good to have, I guess, more so the confidence that I've been out on my own. Hey, I think this is what we should do, and have the confidence to stand behind that decision as opposed to, not really knowing anything and then coming in and going, I think we should do this. And he goes, we've never done that before. And then, well, okay, I've never made any sort of decision out in the real world either. So I guess I'll just, defer to that. So for me, I would recommend it. It gave me a lot of time to grow up, I think, out of college, and I think it served me personally really well.
Nice. Very, very good. Thanks for the insights on that front. I'm sure that's going to be helpful for a lot of guys that are maybe in a similar track to you. So, awesome. So you've got this great company, growing, expanding. Let's dive into kind of the nuts and bolts of how that happens. So I always say, and I like to frame this entire podcast around, marketing really boils down to three key things. Market, who do you sell to? Message, what do you say? How do you position yourself uniquely? And then media, how do you get that message in front of those ideal customers? So let's start with the market. How do you guys define the ideal client for Peterman Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing?
Yeah, so this is something that I think probably over the last year we've really worked to narrow down. I think there's often the tendency to want to grow, and just grow means let's just throw money at everything that we can and see how we grow. Well, unfortunately, if you want to provide a premium service, which, I think most people do, you're not for everybody. And there's a good or bad, there's a segment of clients out there that they don't want what you have to offer, which is perfectly fine. And I think zeroing in on that is key. We focus in on, obviously homeowners. The people that we do really well with are people with, what we found is people with secondary education, so college grads. We kind of tend to, obviously, as I'm creating some of the message, the demographic that I'm a part of, we speak well to that demographic. So you're, young professional, that, 30 to 45 range, we speak well to. But we also speak well to, I think, an older demographic too, is what we're finding, because we really promote trust, and we're the company that you can count on, and dependability, and we're honest, and we want to treat our customers like family. That's really what we look at as our differentiator. So you get some of those older customers who are, whether it's kind of thinking back to the way it was, or whatever that, kind of social norm that they associate with, is where we do really well.
Awesome. So yeah, really, really pretty clearly defined target market, and you kind of mentioned a little bit of the message stuff. So you mentioned trust, dependability, treat them like family. Are there any other things that you guys consider part of your core message that resonates with that target market?
Yeah, so I think the one thing that we've tried to do, and this is just out of examining kind of our competition here in the Indianapolis area, is, okay, what's truly going to make us different? Obviously, the first thing that's done, well, we're dependable. Well, people can trust us. Well, yeah, everybody can say that. In one way or another, it's definitely hard to kind of call somebody on, well, you're not trustworthy, or whatever it may be. And the one thing that we've always tried to do is incorporate our faces into it. So we've got myself and my brother, we do all of our own radio commercials. We do all of our own TV. We do on social media, you see us a lot as far as really promoting the fact that we're not hiding behind a brand. We're out there. If you got a problem, my name, call me up, and we'll talk on the phone. One of the guarantees that we have for our members is what we call an owner's voice guarantee. So if you have a problem and you felt like you were wronged in some way, or a situation didn't go the way it was supposed to, you can call up, and one of us will talk to you. We always look at it as, we're going to talk to you anyway. Why not just put it out there and use it as a piece of our marketing to really show that you can trust us, because I'll talk to you on the phone about it if something goes wrong.
I love that. That's the first time I've ever heard that, and it's a unique thing to you guys, the owner's voice guarantee. That's really cool.
Yeah, thank you. It's done really well. I think you catch some people off guard when you say it. Like, I've had other people, other businesses like, well, I could never do that. Well, yeah, you can. It's just a matter of, do you want to hold yourself accountable to providing that level of service that people are going to be thrilled about, And then also, just helping people out and taking responsibility for what you do. We're all going to screw up. It's the nature of the business. We're going to have leaks. We're going to have, units that have a part that's faulty. It's just part of it. But I think standing behind that has always served us well when it comes to making a customer for life.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really good. And the other thing you said, which is true, if you look up Peterman Heating and Cooling, you're going to see you've got Chad, you've got his brother, you've got his dad. Their faces are out there, and they're not hiding behind it. I know that people like to do business with people they know, like, and trust, and so you guys have really embraced that in a powerful way. And I think it's really serving you well, as the numbers will indicate.
Certainly, yeah. It's been really good, and it's also, I think it makes it that much more special when you get those positive reviews. And people are like, hey, they stand behind what they do, and they want to do good. Or, my favorite ones are, hey, they screwed up, but they got back out here and got it fixed, and they didn't, they didn't string it out and try to blame it on somebody else. They just got to take care of like it should have been in the first place.
Yeah, powerful stuff, powerful messaging. So then we can shift to the media. And I know you guys do this really well. You get a very diverse marketing mix. But let's talk a little bit about what avenues you use to get that message out and where you're generating the leads from.
Yeah, certainly. I kind of made a few notes here just so I don't make sure that I don't miss any. Our primary what we call our primary marketing piece is our newsletter.
Okay.
So we do a print newsletter to our entire customer base each and every month. So we make it in-house. And it's filled with not so much a sales message, but more of just a human message. Make it something interesting to read. Our biggest test is, if this story was in the paper, would you give it a look? Is it an employee maybe having having a new grandbaby, or someone graduating from college, or the recipe of the month, or the employees of the month, different things like that, along with educational pieces that is just there to provide information and be someone that the customer can count on when it comes to the needs of their home. I would say Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I just want to chime in on that particular topic before we move to something else. So continue. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. Yeah, and then I kind of went deep into that one because we do use that as kind of our basis.
Okay.
And then we really spin all of our other marketing off of that newsletter. So
I just want to chime in then before we move to the next topic. It's such a powerful thing that you are sending a physical newsletter. So it's not an email. It's something physically printed and mailed. It's personality based. 99% of the plumbing, HVAC, electrical companies I talk with, they don't do email newsletters, let alone a printed newsletter. And it seems like the companies that do it and that really are consistent with it, they build that following, they build that brand recognition, they build that client relationship, and the amount of repeat and referral business they get from it, it just expands the growth of the company. So I'm really excited that you shared that and that it's working so well for you.
Yeah, it truly is. We look at it in the perspective of, is it expensive to send out each and every month? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But you kind of get what you put into it. And the thing that we look at it is, anytime we get a brand new customer into the funnel, whether that be through the website or through a mailer, or they saw one of our trucks or something like that, our goal is to get them on that newsletter list, because then they can start learning about who we are as people. Who is my technician? Oh, shoot, I didn't know he likes fishing, or whatever that may be. And so we really use that and really think about that as putting a fence around our customer base. So they hear from us consistently each and every month, and it's not a, hey, buy this now, hey, look at this great deal. It's just interesting stuff is what we try to be through that newsletter.
So you're sending that physically out to not just your client base, but to prospects as well?
Yeah, so that's actually, it's funny you asked that. We're actually in the in the beginning stages of taking our newsletter. Obviously, it's geared towards people who have had us, a technician out to their home. So they've had one of our trucks right in their driveway. What we're doing now is we're spinning that content off into neighborhood newsletters.
Okay.
So it's a shorter version, but what we're doing is it's not a real branded piece, but it's more so, hey, this is the, whatever community it may be. So, Greenwood is a suburb of Indianapolis. So we may send it out to, we target really closely who our ideal client is, and then we send that newsletter out, and it's somewhat disguised as a neighborhood newsletter. So it may be the Greenwood, home guide or home newsletter or whatever. And it's going to have tips in it such as, 3 things you need to know about a tankless water heater, or how to get your AC ready for summer, and just different stuff like that they can take advantage of, and then coupling that with maybe a longer form lead magnet, if you will, of, hey, call this line or visit this page to get, this free guide or checklist or whatever it is. So we can get people to raise their hand and just simply say they're interested in one of our services. That's all we're looking to do. You just say you're interested, and then it's our job from there to educate you and provide the value so that when you do need our services, you know exactly who to call.
That's awesome. And so, I think you just said you produce this in-house, you send it in-house. Do you have like a physical mailroom, or is that what you're saying?
Yeah, no, not so much the mailroom, but the marketing marketing department that we have in-house produces it and stuff like that. We send it out to get mailed out, but we produce all the copy in-house and different elements for the newsletters inside. That's
awesome. And like you said, it's probably, if you're sending it to all of the client base, it's not a small bill every month to get that produced and sent.
Exactly, yeah. And I would say, just to add on to that, one of the unique things that was kind of an offshoot benefit of this newsletter was we also put all our employees on the list. So their employees and the families, they get a newsletter every month too, where, you got a technician who's spending, sometimes when it gets hot out or, it's raining like cats and dogs, their wife may be missing them for 50 or 60 hours out of a week. It's nice for that spouse to know, hey, my husband or my wife, they work for a company that cares and that's human. It's not my husband or wife is a number and they're just going out there getting beat up, and then I never get to see them, and then they're stressed out and stuff like that. So we've really used that, and that wasn't an intent when we first did it, but it's been one of those things where we've tried to incorporate elements in there where we incorporate the spouses and stuff like that, because we are a family, and sometimes a big family when you think of extended families and people's families at home.
No doubt. And so that also then is tying into company culture, which is helping with retention and kind of the buy-in of the team. So that's a cool offshoot from that marketing strategy.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about newsletters. Do you send that in an email format as well, or is it just printed?
We haven't done it in an email. It's been something I've been meaning to do, but we haven't got to that yet. So we'll probably launch that element this hopefully in the next couple of months, and that goes into that kind of which, based on the kind of the questions you had sent over to start, maybe get into it a little bit later. Later is the concept of the layering when it comes to marketing, which we found a ton of success with as far as making campaigns a lot more successful, for sure.
Awesome. So we talked about newsletters. Let's continue talking about that overall marketing mix.
Yeah. So our other mix is obviously we're heavy online SEO, PPC. You guys manage that and do a great job for us when it comes to that, because I'd be lost in AdWords had it not been for you guys. But heavy there online. Also direct mail. We'll do your Val packs and your money mailers and some of those kind of buzzword type things where you can get kind of mass distribution, along with some direct mail. So we'll do some postcards surrounding maybe a promotion that we're having, different things of that nature. And then the one that's been really successful for us, as I said earlier, is my brother and I do all of our own radio. The radio has been huge for us in not so much the promotion side. It works pretty well, and we've incorporated some text messaging into the radio ads to where we can somewhat track how the ad is doing. But we also use the radio for somewhat branding messages of really building trust. And hey, this is who we are. If you got a question, you know who to ask for, and we want to be your guy, and stuff like that other people aren't doing on the radio in our market. So it does definitely set us apart when it comes to that.
Nice. So on the radio front, is it like one specific station you tend to focus on, or do you diversify across a variety of stations? How do you set that media strategy up?
Yeah, so obviously we're looking at kind of our demographics and our target customer, and then kind of comparing that to radio demographics and who do they serve and different stuff like that. I can tell you we have found success with targeting those direct people, and then we found success on other stations that don't really target necessarily what we think is our ideal customer, but they work well. So we just kind of stick with those. So we're on probably anywhere from 2 to 3 stations at a time. And so kind of mixing up the message, and then we'll alternate that. So we may run 2 weeks heavy, and then we'll get off of there, and then maybe hit another market for 2 weeks, and just try to change it up. We have a firm that buys all of our digital media in the respects of radio and TV and stuff like that, which truly does help. I can tell you, if you're spending any amount of money on radio and TV, having someone that can buy that for you it's worth so much money, because they know what they're doing and they know what they're talking about. It saved me, I know, just countless hours of time trying to decipher what a radio station or a TV station is sending me when it comes to programming and different stuff like that.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. Get a professional involved that really understands it. And so how much TV and billboards? Any billboards, or is it mostly radio?
Yeah, we don't do really any billboards at all.
Okay.
No billboards. We do a little bit of TV. We're getting some more into that as we continue to develop our message and really spread that and really drive down. The TV is going to become something that we try to use with that, but it's always been primarily radio, and as we've grown, that budget's increased over time as well.
That's awesome. Okay, so we've got internet, we've got broadcast media. What other types of things are you guys doing, if any?
Yeah, a lot of it is, we do some yard signs, we do some targeted geo mailers through a service where we, if we do a job in a neighborhood, we basically send the service our address, or not our address, the address of the customer, and then they send out mailers to, you can pick between 75 and 100 homes around that particular address. So that's worked fairly well. We've got, and then we do some of the online, your Angie's List and stuff like that. Angie's List, before they were sold, was based out of Indianapolis. So Angie's List was kind of big here in our community because they seem to be always in the news and different stuff like that. We've had mixed results with them. I think you get a somewhat more qualified buyer, but you also got the buyer is just a little bit different in some respects too.
And I think Angie's List was born in your backyard. It's probably one of the better markets for Angie's List.
Certainly, yeah, definitely talking to people across the country is definitely not as big a deal for them, and we probably saw more success. But like you said, if you drove downtown and you saw a big building that said Angie's List on it, so that definitely probably helped.
All right, so I have a couple follow-up questions because this is amazing.
Yeah.
It's a really cool marketing mix. Would you mind kind of sharing, because you guys have had this accelerated growth, approximately what percentage of your revenue do you allocate back towards marketing expenditures?
Yeah, so we create the budget at the end of every year. Try to get on it sooner rather than later. Sometimes, as most probably business owners know, that sometimes gets stretched out to middle of December, and we're still trying to throw the numbers together type thing. But try to get that all together. Usually what we try to do is we try to shoot for a budget of around, when we make the initial budget, of around 8 to 8.5%.
Okay.
And usually our hope is that our revenue will outpace that, and we'll fall in really that 7 range is where we want to be.
Okay.
I've heard people say 10% if you're really wanting to grow. To me, you get up in there, you better be pretty confident about your budget when it comes to what you're spending and what you're going to bring in the door, for sure.
Yeah. So it's awesome that you've been able to see that type of accelerated growth at 7%, because most people say you got to be 10 plus to really get a growth going. So that's been fantastic.
Yeah.
There's a question here. Thanks for joining us, guys. We got a couple people watching us on Facebook now. Ursula O'Hare wants to know approximately how long did it take to you guys to get to the $6 million mark as a company? Do you know that offhand?
$6 million. We were there. That would probably be a better question for my dad.
All right. If you don't know, we don't need it.
Yeah. But yeah, it was we were probably 10 or 15 years in before we hit that mark. And there again, my dad's growth strategy was a little bit different than what our strategy is now. But he had different goals and different things of that nature. So it definitely was always healthy growth for him as far as that goes.
Nice. So it was quick, obviously great to get to $6 million, and it's amazing that you're continuing to have this accelerated growth that you guys have now. Can you talk a little bit about the texting with radio? That's something that is kind of unique, something that's kind of cool. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, certainly. So that was something that we came up with last year, and we run a free furnace promotion. You probably have seen it out there with somebody if you've been around the program. But basically, we work out like a co-op deal with our supplier, in that if we buy an air conditioning system, they'll give us the furnace for free, type thing. So we work out kind of a deal on that end, and then we kind of instituted it with the radio in that promotion specifically. And what it was if you'd like a free consultation, text a keyword. It was, I think, furnace for that particular promotion. Text furnace, and we'll set up a consultation. So we weren't exactly sure how it would work. We kind of put it out there, and it was amazing because we had the service tied to our email. So I would be maybe listening to the radio, hear the commercial, and then you would see the inbox just filling up with people wanting consultations. I can tell you it worked really well the first year. This second year, it has not worked as well as it did the first year.
Okay.
The promotion itself didn't work as well as it did the first year. I think some of that has to do with weather. Last year in Indianapolis specifically, it was an extremely warm first quarter, whereas this year it's been more cold. So we're thinking that is kind of, because we ran the exact same promotion. So we're thinking that may play into it a little bit, but the texting has definitely been interesting. And I can tell you some advice, if you do try it, is to keep the conversation text messaging. So we tried it at first where we took a text and then we'd call them, and it didn't work so well. The people wanted to just stay texting back and forth, which was perfectly fine. So it worked a lot better that way.
So a couple really cool insights for most of you. First of all, broadcast media is working for them. Second of all, using text message. A lot of you might not even know that's a thing, right? But there's technology out there where you could say, hey, on the radio ad, text furnace to 55333, whatever number you had set up through your system, and get those leads. And then you can engage with them via text messages platforms for that kind of thing. So it's interesting that you've got their cell phone number, which is usually a great thing, but you're saying as you reached out to them to follow up, they were like, hey, I texted you. Why don't you just text me back? Yeah, it was very, and the conversation was, I think most of the time, CSRs were taught to get a lot of information and understand what the situation is. I cut down on that drastically to the point where it was
when can we get out to do a free consultation? They would usually respond with Tuesday, and I would say, okay, great. Would 9 a.m. work? And if so, can I get your name and address? So we would just book it, and then they would say, okay, yeah, I'm, Sue Smith at 123 Main. And then I'd finish the conversation with, okay, great, we'll see you Tuesday. We get that consultation booked and then head on out there and get it taken care of without ever speaking to them on the phone.
Very, very cool stuff. The other thing I wanted to come back to, you kind of alluded to this a little bit, was this whole notion of layering with your advertising and your marketing strategy. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, so certainly. So we've gotten, I'm sure everybody can relate to I send out this mailer, I paid the postage, I paid for the printing, and oh my gosh, I got like 3 leads back, or whatever it is, and you're just like, oh, I'm never doing that again. That was terrible. Direct mail doesn't work, all of this stuff. So what we found, and it was really by accident, I'm no marketing genius, that's for sure, but what we found is when we started using radio that was telling one message, and then we'd send postcards to maybe that same demographic with the exact same message, our response rate was going way up. And I think if you really think about it from a marketing perspective, I hear it on the radio, but I'm in the middle of something, or I'm driving, or whatever it may be. I get home and, oh, there's that postcard again. Oh, yeah, I meant to call them, or whatever it may be. And then we were layering our newsletter on top of that. So our own customer base was possibly hearing us on the radio. They were getting a postcard, and then maybe a week later they were getting a newsletter, and then a week after that they were getting a second reminder postcard, and then they may see us on social media and different things like that I think has really, really helped our marketing. There again, we're not doing anything special. There's no direct mail. Yeah, there's some definite techniques and different direct response things you can do. But at the end of the day, it's really about getting in front of your customer consistently, in my mind, is what has made our stuff successful.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the power of thinking about it in terms of campaigns and synchronizing the messaging, and the fact that you're seeing a synergy, it's really kind of a synergistic approach where 1 + 1 doesn't, in this case, equal 2. It equals something greater because they're seeing it in multiple channels and it's resonating at a different level.
Correct, yeah. And I think the other thing, too, that goes along with that I would mention is just I think it's so hard, because I know it was so hard for me when we first did it, because usually if you think of a heating coupon or a plumbing coupon, there's like 4 coupons on there. And then I can relate. It's like, well, what if they need this service? Well, what if they need this service? Well, what if they need this service? And to me, we found better success with, here's one offer. I get that maybe not everybody's interested in it, but for the people that are, it's a very clear message. This is what the offer is. Please respond if you're interested, which has definitely helped us. It's been hard. I will admit that, trying to just put one offer out there, and you're thinking, God, well, maybe they don't need a new system. Maybe they need a tune-up or whatever it is. To me, we found better success with just the one offer. Be very clear about what you're asking for.
Nice. That's a great tip. Yeah, don't try and bombard them with 6 different options. Give them one option that they can take or leave, and it will resonate with the people that want that particular offer at that particular moment, better than multiple options that don't resonate with anybody.
Yeah, for sure.
Great point. So, I mean, you're kind of looking at you guys' reputation, your growth rate. You guys have an amazing online reputation. You've got lots and lots of online reviews. What kinds of things do you guys do in order to generate online reviews for the company?
Yeah, so online reviews, we use which I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with, we use the dispatching software of Service Titan to run our company. Through Service Titan, we have a service called Review Buzz that's tied into Service Titan. I would say that the one thing, the reviews have been great for that, but probably the better service that Review Buzz helps us with is it generates an email to each customer before the service call with the technician's picture and a short bio. And that is probably the one thing in this business that I would have never thought about in a million years, and we get the most compliments on in our online reviews is about, that was so nice, they sent me a picture and a bio about the guy that was coming out. And I think people just really resonate with it creates that personal connection right up front, as opposed to who's this strange man in my house and what does he want to sell me. That's not what we're there for. We're there to educate and provide options for taking care of whatever problem you may have on that particular day.
So that's awesome, and a great tip, right? There's lots of awesome tools in this space. Review Buzz, I think, is one of the best of the best. What they've done that's really makes it even better is you tag team Service Titan, which is probably the best tool for dispatching, CRM, kind of marketing analytics, with Review Buzz. Now, every time a job is closed, the request for email is automatically pushed out. That's how you guys have it set up at this point. Is that what you're saying?
Certainly, yeah. The customer gets, and it can be somewhat cumbersome to the customer sometimes, is we get a mixed message back. But, yeah, and email is auto-generated. I think it's 1 to 2 hours after the service call is closed out, that says, hey, would you like to review us on one of these platforms? And I can tell you, we probably get in the, I mean, it's been staggering since we signed up with Review Buzz. I think we had maybe, it was a very low, unimpressive number of Google reviews, and now we have tons, which is awesome. Obviously, you guys know best. As much as that helps you in the local search game, that's definitely where it's at, and people are definitely probably reading reviews more now than ever.
Yeah, no doubt. It helps with the conversion. It helps with your online rankings on the maps. It helps in so many different ways. So it's great. And so maybe you're listening to this and you've got Service Titan and you're using Review Buzz. You didn't know that it could be set up to automatically do that. Definitely look into getting that synced up. The other thing is the email, pre-dispatch email that can be set up to go out. It's built into their platform. It's an extremely powerful piece of it. I find most of the companies I talk with haven't taken the steps to set it up. They don't have a picture of the tech. They never got the description. They never synced it up so the email goes out. And Chad's telling you, customers love that. It's a differentiation point for you as a company, and it makes them more likely to refer you and probably write a review for you. Would you agree?
Certainly, yeah, because I think that there again, that personal connection is made. A quick funny story. We made the mistake one time of not telling. We took the technician's picture, we got their bio, but we forgot to tell them that actually the customer sees that.
Okay.
So we've had technicians that may have just started and they walk into a customer's house and they're like, well, heck, I didn't realize you were such an avid fisherman. The guy's like, what are you talking about?
Did you
How
Google
did
me?
you know that about me? Exactly. So we made that mistake a couple of times. So we definitely let guys that come aboard know that their picture and their bio will be sent out to the customer. But it definitely works. You get, sports teams, hey, this guy's a fan of this team. And, we had one guy not too long ago, he was being here in Indianapolis, everyone's a big Colts fan, and one of our guys is a big Steelers fan. And one of the customers actually made reference to the fact that even though he was a Steelers fan, he still really enjoyed his service. Type thing. So some funny stuff there, just created on some personal level.
And it creates a little bit of that personality that you would never see otherwise.
Certainly, exactly.
Very, very cool. So we talked about email marketing. How about social media? Like, what are you guys doing with social media? Are you tapping into Facebook and Twitter and some of these other social channels to generate leads and opportunities?
Yeah, so Facebook is very new to us. I know that's weird to say, Facebook being new, but just in how we utilize Facebook. So we made the decision to probably about a month and a half, 2 months ago. We brought on a team member who all he does is shoot video. So video, and whether that is 3 tips on getting your furnace ready for winter, or whatever it may be, or how to save energy in the home, or whatever that may be. He's taking care of that. He's taking care of getting technicians out in the field, video testimonials from customers, which are extremely powerful. And then we're using Facebook as that platform to educate our customers through video and really create engagement. So we are seeing where we're posting videos, and then with Facebook's analytics, the ability to drive down to a particular segment of the population is just somewhat creepy, how defined you can really get. But being able to drive down to that customer, then test it versus other groups of customers, and then really putting that particular ad that you see as not really an ad, but just a tip, short video, 2 minutes long. When you find one that works really well and resonates with your customers, it's just putting that on autopilot and really pushing that out into people's streams and news feeds. And we've seen videos ramp up to over 8,000 views just on a short 2-minute video. And there again, are we having people just flood the phone lines when we post the video? Absolutely not. Don't be confused that this is some magic bullet. It is not. It's a long range strategy to where we're always out in front of the customer and we're always providing value. We very, very rarely ask for or run a promotion with Facebook or anything like that. Now, there may be a link in the description to learn more where we may capture that customer's information. But for the most part, we're just trying to get information out there and become the authority and become the expert when it comes to heating and plumbing here in Indianapolis. People have seen us, they know who we are, and they know what we're about.
That's awesome. It's probably 2 steps ahead of most of the plumbing HVAC companies. You've invested in content, right? You got somebody there that can shoot the videos, and then you've got a strategy of using those videos. I'm sure we're leveraging them on YouTube and things as well, but really targeting your ideal customer base with social media to get your message and to get your brand out in front of that ideal target market. And it's just brilliant. And thank you very much for sharing that with all of us.
Certainly, yeah, and I think that's going to become, we talked about layering earlier, and we're new into the space, but that piece of layering, I think is going to be our most pivotal, because we get into the customer stream of consciousness through education and through a very hands-off approach, and then we are in front of them in maybe their mailbox or something like that, where they're used to seeing maybe an advertising message, but they've already seen that brand a number of times before they do need us, and we're always out there in front of them.
Yeah, powerful. So I mean, we've talked about a lot of different pieces to the puzzle, a lot of different things you guys do to generate leads, to keep the trucks running, to keep the momentum that's going within the company. Out of all these channels, what generates the most new business for you guys, like those new customers and the new leads?
Yeah, probably a collection of a couple of things. One is our pay-per-click. So our pay-per-click works really well as far as getting people in need, being in front of them when they have an emergency. Obviously, you can't tell. You send out a mailer, you're kind of crossing your fingers, hoping that maybe some people will have a water heater that went out or something like that. But we all know that's kind of wishful thinking. Whereas pay-per-click gets us in front of customers when they most need us, when they're searching for our terms. So I would say that's generating as the bulk of our calls, and really something that we got serious about, probably about 2 years ago. And then you guys have kind of accelerated that growth on that channel. So I definitely say that's a big one. And then really staying in front of our own customer base, and really getting out in front of them to provide service and letting them know of what we provide and all those services.
Absolutely. So staying in touch, staying in front of the customer base. Do you find it usually manifests in repeat business or referral-based business, where they're like, hey, I use these guys, and they're getting, you're getting referred?
Yeah, I definitely think that there's a huge element of that. Especially having the trucks out in the neighborhood and different things like that. If your neighbor trusts the company, then maybe, you should trust them too. I would say we could do a better job on the referral end of the thing, is really capitalizing on that. Obviously, oftentimes we look at strategies, pay-per-click, it's a pretty painless strategy. I put my trust in you guys take care of me. But referral marketing, that's a little bit more difficult. You got to kind of get in the trenches and make it happen. And that's something that we're taking strides to do, because in my mind, no matter how much you grow and different stuff like that, that's really the best lead right there, is if you can get out in front of somebody and have the backing of maybe a neighbor or a friend that really used this, really liked this.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, great stuff, great feedback. Somebody's on. Dub Moore is on with us live on Facebook, and he was asking, he's earlier in his business process, and he's wondering, if you had to pick one to get started, and you were kind of restarting, where do you think you would start? Like, which one of these channels do you think you would focus on first?
That's tough to say. I think, honestly, either the pay-per-click, and then I think some of the more grassroots type stuff, like a newsletter. Maybe if you're starting out, maybe that's not a print newsletter, or maybe that's not, our newsletter's 8 pages long. Maybe it's not 8 pages, maybe it's just 2 pages, or maybe it's just the front and back of the paper. But I think as your community is smaller and tight-knit when you're first starting, getting out in front of that customer base on a consistent basis, I think is key. And there's a multitude of different ways that you can do that. If you are on a tighter budget, or you're just starting out, or whatever that looks like, there's plenty of things that you can do. It's just some of them may be more, feet on the street type strategies that you're gonna have to get out there in front of the customer with.
Good stuff. Thanks for answering that, Dub. Hopefully that helps to get your creative juices flowing, coming from a really successful, operator in this particular industry. So, I mean, you get a really advanced thought process in terms of marketing, in terms of business development. I'm sure there's been training groups and organizations that have helped kind of develop you and develop your expertise in this space. Which organizations have had the biggest impact on you and kind of the growth of Peterman?
Yeah, certainly. So, obviously, as I kind of explained at the beginning, our growth took off probably about 3 or 4 years ago. A lot of that is due to, we are a member of Nexstar, and Nexstar has really and truly revolutionized our business. We have changed so much, sometimes much to the chagrin of, maybe the ladies in the office or the guys out in the field, but it's been amazing to see the transformation, and what Nexstar has done for us is nothing. There again, it's no magic bullet, and it takes a ton of effort, and you have to really love what you do. But I'm sure most people, if you're running your own business, you do love what you do, or you wouldn't do it. But just the ability to get everybody in an organization, especially as we continue to grow, on the same page and aiming for the same goal, is truly remarkable, and it's one of the most satisfying feelings I have, going home every night knowing that someone's excited because someone sold another job, or someone's excited because we got a positive review, and we know what that means for the business. And I think Nexstar's done a great job of showing us the proper way to get there, and then how much success you can have after you do make those changes and make those improvements to where you can go in the future.
Fantastic. And Nexstar's, it's just such a powerful organization. If you're listening to this, you've never heard of it, check it out. It's Nexstar Network. If you run a Google search, you can find it. If you look through our archive of interviews, a lot of the companies we interview, they're doing $5, $10, $15 million plus per year, have been part of that organization or currently part of it. So, I mean, it's just a powerful best practices group. You get all kinds of training and resources. And more importantly, you get to plug in to guys like Chad, to guys like Kevin, to guys like we've interviewed in the past, that you guys get together on a pretty consistent basis, and you get to just exchange ideas and best practices, right?
Yeah, I would say, I'm glad you brought that up. I would say in conjunction with the processes and different things like that, the network is just incredible. I mean, obviously, as you continue to grow, you're gonna be aiming for things that you've never seen before. You're gonna be aiming for, well, shoot, how are we gonna do that with this many people? Well, maybe there's a process, or maybe there's a person you can stick in there, and a lot of that is learned. I probably talk to, they have a ton of coaches. I probably talk to, I talk to my business coach at least 2 to 3 times a month. There's other coaches in different disciplines that I talk to, and then other business owners. We actually just got back from a trip to Atlanta. We went down for 2 days to Atlanta to visit a company down there, Ragsdale Heating and Air, which runs an unbelievable operation down there. Art and the guys were truly gracious with their time, just so we could see that next level and what that looks like. So we spent a whole day and just dissecting their business and meeting with different leaders in the company, and all of that is provided through the connections that are made in Nexstar, which is truly powerful.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a powerful thing to, if you're going to get to the next level, you have to get around people that are at the next level. And so plugging into organizations like Nexstar give you access to that. And I think that's a big part of what you guys have accomplished. So, this has been amazing. You shared some awesome insights. I'm sure everybody's like, wow, this was awesome. Thank you, Chad, so much. What I guess, just to kind of wrap us up, what additional nuggets of wisdom or insight would you have to share for that plumbing or HVAC business owners that's just trying to get to the next level and trying to, move the needle to the next place?
Certainly. I think the biggest piece of insight, and this took me personally a while to learn, is I think a lot of people think of growth as, well, how much money do I need to spend on marketing, and how many postcards do I need to send out, and different things of that nature. And what I've uncovered in my short time in this industry is that it's really not about any of that at all. It's really about finding the best people possible. And then when you find the best people possible, it's your job as an owner, as maybe a manager, it's your job to provide a platform for those particular people to be at their best. And that is, through leadership and support and understanding what they need to be successful. Because ultimately, I get people that ask, how much are you spending on marketing or whatever it may be, and it's really not about that. Marketing at that point is secondary. Marketing is just I've provided a platform for this plumber to be the best plumber in the city. Now I've got to use marketing just to get him in front of the right people, and he's going to be able to do his thing. And truly, what we have done over the past 2 years is really put an emphasis on growing people and growing our organization. And when you do that, it's even caught me by surprise when you talk about growth and growing. And we need to add another person. And sometimes we've added people, and we may not need another plumber, but we're always recruiting, and we found a really good plumber. We'll spend a few extra marketing dollars to get him in front of the right people. It's all about finding the right fit that are going to fit into our culture and really express that culture to our customers, because that's what makes us different. That's what sets us apart, and that's why we want to be the organization. We always have the phrase when we're recruiting is we want a line lined up outside the front of the door where everybody wants to come work here. And when we can do that, when we hit that level of culture and just overall company dynamic, we're going to be a truly powerful place, and we're going to affect lives of not only our customers, but most importantly our employees. And that's what we're here to do. That's our bigger purpose. It doesn't matter how big we get. It just matters really about how many lives we can affect in a positive way, for sure.
That's awesome. And great feedback, great concept to close today's interview on. Chad, thank you so much. If you're listening to this, if you're watching it, maybe if you're listening to it after the fact, be sure to, wherever you found this, reach out to Chad. Thank him for sharing his time. Thank him for sharing this information. Really appreciate your spirit, your willingness to share, because not everyone is willing to say, hey, look, this is what I did. This has been my success. And so thank you for your willingness to do that.
Yeah, no problem at all. There again, we just got done talking about helping employees and stuff like that. It's my belief too that our industry as a whole, the trades, we've got to lean on each other to prop ourselves up, because our services are needed, and we help a lot of people. And if there's anything I can ever do to help anybody, I've made tons of mistakes. So if I can keep you from making one of those, or learn from somebody else on what to do, I'm more than happy to share, for sure.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys, so much for joining us on this call. Thank you, Chad. If you'd like to hear more interviews like this with other highly successful plumbing and HVAC business owners on how they market and grow their companies, be sure to go to plumbingmarketing.net. There you can subscribe via email. You can also subscribe via iTunes if you happen to want to listen while you drive. So thanks for joining us. Be sure to subscribe. Post comments wherever you happen to watch this. Post a comment on iTunes. Post a comment on YouTube. That helps us out a lot. Or post a comment underneath the Facebook Live. Be sure to reach out to Chad and thank him for his time. And we will wrap it there. Chad, I'll let you have the last word. Thanks so much again for your time.
Yeah, no problem at all. There again, wish everybody continued success. Looks like it's warming up around the country, so I'm sure all the heating contractors, cooling contractors around the country are excited about that. I know we are. And there again, just I think the biggest thing is remember that we're growing people and helping them to succeed. When we do that, the company's always going to succeed in the end, for sure.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thanks again. We'll talk to you later. All right, I closed the Facebook feed, so we're offline. But let me stop the recording.